The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. Welcome back as we broadcast live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning, a snowy Marcus Street. And in the studio, Sheriff Allard. Good morning.
Good morning, Frank. It's a beautiful day in Steuben County.
Well, it's snowing. I can't agree
It's
with you this
still
time.
gorgeous.
I can't agree with you this
still
time.
beautiful.
No, it is. How are the roads? They're fine, right?
They're fine, yeah.
Okay. We have a question first off, and then we're going to get to a couple issues. But Mark writes in, Sheriff, how far ahead is the boating course booked?
Typically, there's room the succeeding month.
Okay.
So a lot of times, as soon as it goes out, it gets booked. But if you put your name on the waiting list with with Terry Moore, my secretary,
right,
she'll make sure you get into the next one.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
All right. You guys have been doing really kind of I think a unique thing, and it's in regard to Women's History Month, because we'll get into some other issues, but I wanted you to talk about that so we didn't run out of time, of course.
We tend to do that.
We always
don't we?
run out of time.
So this year for Women's History Month, we're highlighting all of our female employees, and excuse me, and every day we've been putting out a little bio of a female employee, whether it's a correction officer or a deputy sheriff or someone that works in our administrative office.
Great idea.
And with their picture and why they do what they do, what makes this job special to them.
What a good idea.
And it's been really neat, and we've got a lot of good feedback on it.
Yeah. Are they all excited to be up there? Because your Facebook page is very active.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And a few were a little nervous, you know.
Yeah.
What are you doing? I don't want my
I don't
picture
want
in
that.
Yeah. But overall, once a few of them did it, the rest kind of got on board, and we're to the point where I think this coming week we're probably going to have to double up a few.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just to get everybody in.
Oh, that's great. That's a
Yeah.
great way. So
Yeah.
we'll start on that note. Then we're going to go to corrections officers. So since the last time we talked, a lot has happened.
Yeah.
What do you think, before we talk about what you're doing specifically, what did you think about Hochul having to backtrack on this?
Well, she had to.
Yeah, it was such bad PR.
Well, not only that, but the ruling was so against every labor law out there. And you know,
Great point.
Every year we spend a tremendous amount of time and resources making sure that we have our annual training in workplace harassment, anti-harassment, and basically she broke every rule that we have to abide by. Can you imagine if Corning Incorporated or Siemens or World Kitchen said, if you leave our employee, you can't work anywhere where we have a company ever again?
Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah.
They try to do that in media a lot. They'll try to get a young reporter and say, you can't work in media.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't hold up in New York. That's New York's laws.
It is.
The non-compete laws, essentially.
And,
but also, doesn't that point to a larger picture that she doesn't understand that just like with the mandatory shifts of like 24 hours,
right?
The residents of New York are saying, wait a minute.
Yeah.
How is this fair to anybody that's working in corrections?
Especially upstate, you can't find somebody upstate that doesn't know a state CO.
Oh, of course.
And when you hear the horror stories of not only the working conditions, but the way in which they're treated, the way in which they're treated as guilty until proven innocent.
Right.
On any time they have to do anything in regards to an interaction with an inmate, it's that part of it in and of itself. That part's bad.
Yes.
But then when you couple it with the 24-hour shifts, and I talked to one state CO who had worked, I think 13 in a row. He had a day off that he had scheduled months ahead of time.
Sure.
And he told him, "Hey, I'm not going to be in on that 14th day." "No, you have to be in."
Wow.
"I've already paid money. I'm not going to be in." And
they deserve a break, if nothing else.
So he got fined $1,000.
Wow.
He was locked out, fined $1,000 in order to come back in. And
that is amazing.
To me, it's just the
if
treatment of these folks.
If any normal business did this, the Department of Labor would be here in a heartbeat.
Well, the AG's office would be here in a heartbeat.
Well, that's true too. Yes.
Yeah.
That is true. Though she seems to be busy with other stuff a lot of time.
She's busy a lot of time, yeah.
So how does this work? Because I know you spoke out about it. Chemung County actually went and sued.
Yes.
Because Governor Hochul was saying it's not just you can't work at state corrections anymore. You can't work for county or local government.
Yeah, you can't be a custodian in a local government.
Yeah. And then I know we've been a
You
broken.
made me angry.
Yeah, because you made me, and you had the audacity to tell us about safety issues in our prison.
How dare you?
I know. How could you do this? But we talked on this program so many times. We're like, almost feels like a job fair on the air because you're always looking for corrections officers.
are.
It comes up every single interview. So what does this mean for you?
Well, for us, as soon as this ban is lifted, which allegedly April 9th, the emergency ban is lifted, which then takes out her, the governor's order.
Edict. Yeah.
Yes, her executive order. We have, I think, we have backgrounds done on 12
Oh, wow.
already, and we have 2 more ready to go.
So
we're
you're hitting
doing
the ground
backgrounds.
running. That's great.
Yeah, well, we haven't had full staff since COVID.
Yeah, right.
In the jail, and because of that, we've lost revenue with in housing and federal inmates. It's cost the county significant money. For the first time, we're going to be full staff.
That's wonderful.
And I'm excited about it. And we're getting people that are trained and know their job and bring a level of professionalism. And I had to laugh. I saw one of the governor's statements that, you counties you hire, you should be careful.
Yeah, they're not trustworthy.
These are bad people. And I'm like, no, these are people that stood up and said, no more.
Yeah, got pushed to the limits.
We're not going to do illegal stuff and be treated poorly anymore. That's my kind of people.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly who
I'm all about hiring those folks.
So have you found that they're kind of almost like free agents now? they're being headhunted?
We make jokes, but unfortunately, they haven't been paid in
that's true too.
close to 2 months now.
Yeah.
So
And they don't have health insurance.
they don't have health insurance. They're not being paid. Almost all of them have families
Yeah.
and children. And so I feel bad for them because they went to the state expecting to be able to do a career. And it's a pretty good paying career.
Right.
And retire at 25 years. And then the rug's pulled out from underneath them.
Yeah.
Because they wouldn't put up with being abused.
Yeah, and in such a vindictive, and it was so nice to see, Assembly Palmisano, Tom O'Mara, Chris Friend, everybody speak out, and they all use such great words like vindictive to say, because that's what it came off as. But that's what
100%.
If you look at Governor Hochul, she's fighting hard against corrections officers. And she's fighting hard to make sure that the people of New York get that tax that they deserve on congestion pricing. Isn't it weird what she picks to fight for?
Well, and like you say, the whole insurance thing.
Yeah.
We'll take it away.
Well, that too.
We'll take it away from you, but we'll give it to you. You that have been a public servant for 20 years. We're going to take yours away, and we're going to give it over here to anybody that wants it.
Oh, and by the way,
But you.
if you were fired at the federal level, we want you.
Yeah, we'll give you a warm welcome.
Yeah, she's just not. She doesn't have it. I mean, Cuomo, for better or for worse, when Lise Cuomo was in there would have been some kind of decisive action. But even with her backtracking on this, it just makes it. She comes off looking weak. I mean, in such a, I don't know, April 9th is the day then. So that's when everything can begin.
That's allegedly the day, unless she magically extends
Changes again?
But the Department of Homeland Security, New York State Department of Homeland Security, has said that the emergency order will be over.
That's great.
April 9th, which means April 10th, we can begin hiring and let these folks get back and finish their careers.
Rightfully so. And Steuben County, at the end, reaps the benefits of this horrible decision.
We do. And I feel so bad for the folks because, like you say, their starting pay at the state level is higher than our top pay.
Well, sure.
For a CO.
Right.
So that's a big ouch for those folks, but at least they're going to be working and they're going to have good benefits for their families and they'll be able to provide. But what a smack in the face.
Yeah, and unnecessary, right from beginning to end. And that's why, again, and not to keep belaboring this point, but the PR on it is so bad because even people, like you said, everybody knows a corrections officer, but one of the things about a corrections officer, they're behind the prison walls. We don't see what they do for us every day.
Right.
So when you start to hear about all these hours that they're working, the days that they're working, and then the assaults.
And that's what they're saying is the HALT Act is
HALT
so
Act.
dangerous.
Yeah.
We need to change it.
Yeah.
And, we at the Sheriff's Association have been making this point since it came in to deaf ears. And we're still making the point. But and people don't understand, they talk about solitary confinement. It doesn't happen in New York State.
No.
It never has. There's every county jail doesn't have a pit.
I know, that's what everybody
pictures. It's not like from Les Mis.
Yeah, right.
That's not what's going on. And, everything is every rule they've done is based on some horrible memory from Rikers Island. Well, that's one place.
Right.
Fix that place.
Yeah. Don't take it out on everybody.
Correct.
Yeah. But that goes into, now this is how I get on tangents on this program, but into bail reform.
Yeah.
I was reading an article yesterday because obviously the budget process is going on, and it said there seems to be no appetite in Albany to make any reforms on bail. So it's a
Yeah.
in Albany maybe,
Yeah.
but everywhere
the rest
else
of the state there is.
yeah.
Well, and I had to, you've heard me complain that, especially in domestic violence situations, the lack of ability to hold someone
Yeah.
after an assault in a domestic incident and create a plan for that victim to be able to find a way, or survivor, however you want to say it,
Right.
find a way and to make a plan to be safe is taken away.
Yeah.
Because we know they're going to get arraigned and released. And I saw yesterday that there was a big thing in Albany about domestic violence,
Yeah.
and we need this and we need that. We need the ability to make sure that these abusers are held for at least 48 hours,
Yeah.
so that the person who is being abused can make other arrangements and have a plan. And I've been waiting for our advocates to step forward and say, this needs to be fixed.
Yeah.
And it's taken them how many years now?
I know, and I've said it a million times, but the victims that don't need to be victims or repeat victims. I mean,
Yes.
it's not just, well, that one person got attacked, so that's one and done. A lot of times this is repeat after
Yes.
repeat.
Yes.
So you tie these two things in together. HALT, which is tying the hands of the corrections officers
Yes.
and coddling the criminals.
Yep.
And then you've got bail reform doing the same thing for our
Right.
police officers.
Well, and it makes sure that the folks that are locked up are the worst of the worst.
Yeah.
Because they've committed 5 felonies to get in there instead of just one.
Yeah.
And
That's
so
a great point. Yeah.
you're dealing with, and that's what I talk about with our correction officers. It used to be they had we would have a large population of outside workers,
Yeah.
and we could do services for the community. We don't now because none of them classify
Right.
to be able to work outside.
Do you think in the budget, I don't know how close you followed it because it's how this is such a mess. April 1st is the deadline. Phil Palmisano predicting they're not going to make it.
No.
They never do, right? Well, they did it a couple times. But
Yeah.
Do you see anything like the involuntary commitment or the mask ban, which are two kind of law enforcement areas? Do you see anything coming from that, or do you think it's just show?
A lot of it is still in committee, and depends on what she decides to put into her budget at the last minute. I have heard a few things. We get weekly updates from our association.
I'm sure.
They monitor what they hear, but again, you never know what's going to make it till the final one's in.
Right.
Because the governor will put stuff in the budget, and then the ruling class will say, no.
No. Carl Hasty,
Yeah.
he already signaled that he doesn't care about involuntary commitment because he
Right.
said, well, the devil's in the details, basically saying, we're not going to.
Yeah, we're not going to do that in the budget.
Because it's the progressives in Albany, they're in charge, and Kathy Hochul proves it time and time again, unfortunately.
Right. And a lot of times I've noticed in the last couple of budgets, it's not been smooth.
No.
There's a lot of divisiveness within their own party.
Well, I guess the mask ban just surprised me only because she brought it up once, was silent about it for months,
Yeah.
and now just out of nowhere she does this
Yeah.
sometimes. So that's probably why I'm nervous around budget time to find out what's going to be in there.
You're nervous.
Yeah, I know. I can only imagine. All right, let's take a short break. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. And we are back. That's the Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads with the snow falling. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio, and in that studio we have Sheriff Allard. All right, couple quick comments from viewers. First off, I heard the mask ban will cost $10 million to implement. Probably.
Yeah.
It's it's like the cell phone ban in schools. $13.5 million. Can't you just tell the kids they can't use them, put them in a closet?
Right. Put them in their locker.
And then they put $13.5 million on it, and the New York City says not enough.
Well, and they're buying those little mini Faraday bags to put them in. Half those kids are just going to put fake phones in there.
Exactly, and have their great point. Don't give them any ideas.
Yeah, I don't think they need ideas from me.
No, that's right. All right, comment from a different viewer. All right, buckle up. Have Sheriff Allard fill us unknowing viewers in on the controversy he is going through with the county. I would ask the viewer which controversy. I don't like the word controversy.
And this is only a half-hour show.
Yeah, I know.
So,
Yeah.
if it's the leader article, Mr. Vanetten has decided to appeal the decision by the Supreme Court Justice and is forcing the county to pay for it.
Okay.
He likened it to a second opinion from a
doctor.
doctor.
Yeah, I saw that.
Oh my goodness. It's
A
just
very
gonna,
costly second opinion.
Yeah, it's just going to waste more money, and the result's going to be the same. And, it's just distressing to see that and disappointing. Again, this is just another example of members of our county government refusing to admit that they were wrong and refusing to take responsibility for the almost $250,000 they wasted in taxpayer money.
Now adding on top, even more cost.
Yes.
And so the decision was because it was Vanetten's name?
It's pretty convoluted.
Yeah.
It's pretty convoluted.
You're right. We can't fill the time. I mean, it would take 3 hours easily.
Yeah.
But that to me doesn't seem...
Well, when I filed the Article 78, obviously I had to say that the county manager in his function, in his capacity, acted inappropriately, and the county legislative chair in their capacity acted inappropriately. That's the only way they were named.
But he's not a chair anymore either.
Correct.
That's so confusing.
Yeah.
I have the wave counter on the screen. We should have a calendar of how many days this has been going on.
I know.
How long has it been?
It started in June of 23.
That's wrong. So I started in March, so this has been the whole show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. But there was another controversy. This is convoluted as well.
Right.
And my thought, coming from kind of a PR background, it was a controversy that didn't really need to be
correct
put out to air in front of public. I'm not even sure if people... I tried bringing it up on the show, and it was a little too difficult.
Well,
how much is going on.
And the same person, Mr. Vanetten, is chair of the Finance Committee.
Okay.
He sent me an email basically demanding that I defend the overtime usage and the overage on the road patrol to the entire group. And he sent it out to all legislators. And in it, there were several accusations of why this person made this much. And basically, you're wrong, prove you're not wrong.
Okay,
was the tone
that's great.
of the email. Yeah. And that's how all this came to be over the last 3 years, was a consistent barrage of that type of communication. And I just decided that I'm not going to be the punching bag anymore for the entertainment of a few legislators. So I prepared a presentation, and I compared our overtime, roads overtime.
Not much of a time frame either, right?
No, it was on a Wednesday. Be ready for Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah.
But I prepared it and I researched, and I also included some of the monies that the legislature has wasted in excess of what our overages were, and showed that every agency was over, every large agency, and the only other 24/7 was over. The only difference was is the budget from year to year attempted to keep up or meet what the historical experience was. Mine was the same static for 5 years.
Which is not how budgets are supposed to be.
And it was when they started that, I was already over budget by $100,000, and we had a 25% increase in wages during that time. Wow. Still no increase. Right. And then I got the number of hours actually worked in overtime from personnel, and it was constant.
Yeah.
And so I said, I'm confused here. If the goal is to say, why are you over? I'm going to say, why haven't you budgeted responsibly?
Right.
And then it morphed into, well, we didn't want that. We wanted to know if you need more people. And do you need an extra deputy?
Oh, it turns out this was all nice.
Yes. Yes. It was all done to help me.
That's interesting how that works out.
And so I said, well, one person's not going to make a bit of difference. We're 24 hours, 7 days a week.
Right.
If you're going to increase a post across the board, that's 6 people.
Yeah.
That's $600,000 to start.
Yeah.
You've got $400,000 in overtime. Is that efficient? So I suggested that we do a staffing analysis by an outside firm that's going to look at the size of the county, the number of complaints, and say you should have X number of deputies per shift.
Sure.
And let that guide us.
Yeah. It just seems like another kind of unforced error on the county's part.
Then, yeah. And so, as you know, I didn't put out that report as a press release. I just posted it because there were people on that dial into that committee that weren't able to see it because I was shut off halfway through.
Oh, were you really?
Oh, yeah.
Technical glitch?
I was told that I was engaging in drama, and this was not the place for that. And I'm like, this is where it all began.
That's the drama did all begin there. But that's kind of that's where drama should happen.
Yeah.
I mean, really, if you should be having the conversation.
Well, and
not behind closed doors.
Yeah. So I was.
That's a whole other issue.
And then both people that attacked me and that apologized to me later.
Okay.
Privately.
Oh, well, of course.
Yeah,
I will say, and I know this has been kind of encouraging for me because you don't know how much people follow the news.
Right.
And so it's petition season.
Yeah.
Of course it is. It's snowing. Of course it's petition season. And I've been taking around the petition, and I'm amazed at the first question, because I know when you were on the program last time, when you had to take your petitions out, I joked it must take up so much of your time because everybody has so many questions. It took up a lot of my time.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a single, I shouldn't say single because I have a lot of signatures, but there's a couple people that maybe didn't know, but everybody else was asking about you and what's going on in the county because there's legislative races this year.
There are. Yeah, there's actually 2 in this area.
Yeah.
One for Corning, town of Corning, town of Hornby, and town of Caton, and that has 3 people running for it.
Yes. Yeah.
And then Irwin also has at least 3.
Yeah. At least the number keeps adding every day.
Yeah.
But that's important that this, I think it's a good thing because how many times are there local races where there's no primary?
Well, and I think that's how we got to the spot we are with the legislature is that nobody paid attention. For years, no one paid attention. And you were at the Republican committee meeting 2 years ago. I think it was 2 years ago when the former chair said, "We like it when no one pays attention."
Yeah.
Well,
That's very telling.
if you don't want what you're doing out in the public, if you're not transparent, there's a problem. And you're not transparent for a reason. And that's been a lot of what has caused this is the lack, and it was called out by the Supreme Court justice, is that lack of transparency and unwillingness to follow the open meeting law.
Right.
So I think that people are waking up because there's a lot of tax money that goes to the county.
Right.
And people are going, wait a minute. We thought these people were taking care of our needs, and they're not. We thought that they were representing us and serving us, and they're not.
Right.
So what are they doing? Well, they're serving their own needs, and some are, not all. And so people are starting to pay attention, and they're starting to ask questions, and they're getting involved.
They are.
And that's phenomenal.
It's great because like I said, you never know. You get kind of discouraged. You say, are they going to pay attention? And then when you explain the candidates, and that's the first question they ask.
Yeah.
They say, where do they stand on the sheriff?
Right.
I think that's really encouraging.
Well, and, what is it? I guess people, according to Mr. Vanette and folks, are changing their votes because they're so scared of me. Because I'm such a terrifying individual.
That has not been the reaction. I'm getting signatures. That's why I was going to joke that when they asked me where they stand on the sheriff, no one's ever said, "I hope he's against the sheriff."
Yeah.
That has not been one of the reactions yet.
It's just I'm doing this job because A, people ask me to do it,
Right.
and B, I think I have something to offer, and I think we've made really good changes at the sheriff's office, and we still have more to make, and. I'm 61 years old. I should have been retired by now. And I'm still doing this not because I want my name in the paper, not because I want to tell legislators how to do their job. I'm still doing this because I care about the people that work there, and I care about the job that we do, and I realize that I serve the public. And I want to make sure that all of our employees realize that we serve the public.
And you wanted to be on Frankly Speaking.
And I want to be. I feel
that's why you ran for re-election.
There would be a hole in my heart if I could not be on Frankly Speaking.
Baloney. We got to take a short break. Stay with us. Keep those comments coming in. We'll be right back after this. The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. Welcome back as we broadcast live from the Hesselson studio on Market Street in Corning. In that studio, Sheriff Jim Allard. We've got a lot of comments coming in, but I didn't have a chance to read it because you and I get talking off the air. That is my fault. So and we can move on from the county.
From the silliness.
I know. So a couple of quick things. First of all, I don't think we had a chance to talk about this. I talked about it with John Buckley, mayor of Hornell. Congratulations on Republican of the Year.
Oh, I appreciate that. It was very humbling.
Yeah.
It was.
He was telling me about the Lincoln Day dinner. I heard it went very well.
It did, and it was a really good crowd, too.
Yeah. He said one of their biggest, I think.
Yeah.
That's great. It goes to show you people are really not just jazzed up because of the Trump election and all that, but also
getting ready for next year.
Well, and getting ready for next year and the legislative races. I mean,
yes. Yeah.
I don't want to get back into that, but there's a lot of reaction on that. So, Anyway, so congratulations. I wanted to bring that up.
I appreciate that. It was very humbling to receive.
Yeah, they're doing such a good job in Hornell.
They are.
I mean, I say this on the program too often. I said it with him, but if 15 years ago, well, maybe 20 years ago, you would say that Hornell was a Republican powerhouse, you would have laughed at me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, Sean Hogan had been
He
there.
were punched in the mouth.
Yeah, right. I mean, Sean Hogan had been in mayor for
Ever.
50 plus. No, it wasn't that quite, but I think it was 35. All right, where do I got next? But I meant to kind of start the program with that. So why don't we do this? Because we are running late, and this will give me an opportunity to read those comments. When we come back, we'll read the comments and go through all that. How about that? Okay. So we're going to go through a quick. We went through a quick one there. Sorry about that. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox. The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Give them a call today for all your business and home security needs. We are broadcasting from the Hesselson studio, and now I had a chance to get all our comments together. Sorry, I got flustered. Here we go. First one. Comment from a viewer. As a family member of 2 New York State corrections officers who lost their jobs, one must understand that the conditions were so horrible that they were willing to risk losing their livelihoods. And you said that on the show, and I quoted it frequently, that it was an act of desperation.
It was.
It really was. One of our family members had 5 years left to go before retirement. I was angered when I heard Governor Hochul make a statement on a national news outlet a couple of weeks ago saying New York State welcomes federal employees terminated from their positions, stating we respect and are willing to work with federal employees because we honor public servants. Clearly, she does not honor New York State public servants. Otherwise, she would have come to the table for a meaningful conversation with the corrections officers who were crying out to be heard.
Well stated.
Yeah.
Well stated. Yeah.
All right, comment from a different viewer. I'm on your side, Sheriff Allard. The Democrats that no doubt comprise the county's bureaucracy, no, not really, right? Should have had their heads examined and to quit squabbling about thousands of dollars when they would condone spending millions of dollars to ban cell phones in schools, for example. That's at the state level. Yeah, no, that's kind of a misconception.
Well, I think it's what do they call it, rhino?
Yeah. It's not, but it wasn't the Democrats. Okay.
No.
Comment from a different viewer. Also, if you were not making the public safe because you don't have the staff to protect the public without offering overtime, you could bet they would complain loudly. Keep up the good work, sir. That's nice. They would complain loudly. But
Yes,
they complain
would.
loudly about anything you do.
Pretty much, yeah.
All right, now this one I think
guaranteed.
is a little too much. And I don't want this to go to your head.
Did my wife write in again?
Yeah, maybe. No. Jack writes, I'll bet the sheriff is a Gunsmoke fan. He has a lot of the common sense and integrity of the Matt Dillon character. That makes me a big fan of Sheriff Jim Allard.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. Who is it that Billy Spalding always equates you with?
Oh.
What is that movie?
Yeah, it's support your local sheriff.
That's what it was.
James Garner.
With James Garner, because he had an autographed poster of that in his office. I'm going, does he have James Garner? Like I'm trying to think of, I think Walter Brennan's in that or something.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. And then I see you had it signed. So anyway. Okay, a couple things, because we are almost out of time. I want to talk about, we were talking about Hornell, and this is, tell us about Ricalto's. We read his op-ed. That was a great op-ed that
very
he did
well
for
written.
the Hornell Sun.
Very incisive and very well written, I thought.
Yeah, and he had a big dinner for you.
He did. We were raising money for the Sheriff's Institute Summer Camp and Wellness Center.
Yeah.
So this is really taking off. We have it's gorgeous summer camp on the bluff up on Cuca Lake.
Yeah.
The Institute does. And kids from all over the state come to it for 6 weeks in the summer.
Yeah.
And it's just a phenomenal thing. A group of us got to talking about it's so beautiful there. Why can't we use it all year?
Right.
And something that's near and dear to my heart, as you know, is officer wellness and taking care of our people. And that viewer that wrote about the 2 family members.
Yeah.
So my thought process was a first responder wellness center, so that everyone's under that umbrella.
What a great
And
idea.
they're all experiencing the same trauma, and they're seeing things they shouldn't have to see, and so we began a campaign to raise private funds to build a center on that property and housing to support it, and we hired the Institute. The Institute hired a private fundraiser to do it, a person that works with colleges, hospitals, etc. And we're a third of the way through to our goal right now, which is in the millions.
Yeah.
And
But that started relatively recently to be that far in fundraising. That's great.
Yeah. Well, it's it's something that people connect with and people see the need for. And there's really nothing in the Northeast. If you want to go to a center like this, you'd have to go to Maryland or Kentucky or farther west or south. So this will be the first of its kind in the Northeast.
But do they have the view that we have?
Nobody's got the view.
No, no, that's crazy.
No.
Yeah.
And so Ricalto's did that. Part of that dinner was a fundraiser for that.
That's great.
So we didn't raise $1 million.
No.
But we did raise $450, which I was very excited
Well,
about.
and raise awareness is probably the
Yes.
most important point, because what this is going to do, like you mentioned, with people dealing with the trauma, what your goals? What would a typical experience for someone? I know it'll differ
So,
depending probably on what happened.
Depending if it's as a result of a specific traumatic incident or combined stresses. But basically, go to Cuca Lake for 3 days for free. Have classes in the morning on coping skills, wellness skills, how to be prepared to go back and unplug, and then all afternoon is enjoy the water and the 32 acres of woods.
That's great.
Above the camp, and help them unplug, reset, deal with the accumulated stress, and then return to their job healthier.
What a great idea.
And in a better mindset, because, and this ties it in with something that was recently in the news. Frustrated law enforcement officers make really bad decisions, both personally and professionally. And anything we can do to help that, to make that better, is life-saving. We have the most amount of suicides per profession in law enforcement. So anything we can do to alleviate that even a little bit is a huge gain.
And I think this is such a unique idea that I know people, because right now it's probably at a higher level when we talk about fundraising.
Yes.
Will there be an opportunity for people that are watching this program in the future to donate?
Absolutely. Absolutely. They're doing what they call the soft fundraising part now, where it's companies and foundations, and then it'll be out to the private donations after that.
That's wonderful. What is the time frame on it? Is there a goal of when?
We're hoping to. Well, we aren't hoping. We're going to break ground this summer at the end of the camping season.
Oh, great!
And we hope to have it open next year. We hope to have it completed in a year and ready to begin programming.
So is this going to be people in all the Northeast that can use this, you're saying? Or
yes.
Yeah.
I don't see us saying no to anybody.
Right, yeah.
And we have monthly meetings right now with FASNY, which is the Fire Association, Division of Homeland Security in New York State, Bureau of EMS, volunteer firefighters, DEC, the New York State Chiefs of Police, the Mahaney's, which is Mental Health Association in New York State, Parks and Rec. We're all on it, and we're trying to go. We all have these programs and this vocabulary. Let's do this and put it under an umbrella.
Yeah.
And all speak the same language and offer the same ability to heal to everybody that's in all of the first responder, the different disciplines.
Yeah.
And it's just
idea.
gaining steam like bad.
I know, because the first time you brought it up wasn't that long ago. So to hear that kind of fundraising number is fantastic.
Yeah.
But it doesn't come as a surprise. I can't imagine anybody says no to that. You know what I mean?
It's seen as so needed and so necessary.
And it's almost shocking that there hasn't been something like it already.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you just happen to have the greatest piece of land.
We do. We got 1,000 feet of frontage on Cuca Lake.
Wow. The best hidden secret.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, Sheriff Jim Allard has been our guest this morning. Thanks for giving us so much time as always. Anything else you want to say before we go?
Just thank you, and keep telling the news, local news, because what you do is so important. And I tell this to Brian O'Neill up to WLEA.
That's a great job. Yep.
What you do is so important, because without you, there's no real local news.
No, it's getting more difficult, and that's why coming up, as we talked about earlier, with the local election season, is going to be really important.
Yes.
I had someone yesterday, I'm going to run late, but on the petition saying we don't know these candidates, we don't know who they are. But that's not their fault.
No,
it's just there's not the outlet anymore. Well, thank you, Sheriff. We'll talk to you again soon. Okay.
No worries.
All right, join us tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. We have Corning Mayor Bill Bolin. That's at 6 tomorrow with Frankly Speaking.